Getting heat, baby. Getting some exhaust here. I don't know if you can hear. Fuel hole. Everything that's going to go inside the box. The moment of truth.
All right, what's up, guys? The Two Track Nation here again. I'm Chase Gardner.
I'm Hunter Constantine.
And it's winter.
Yes, it is. That means it's cold.
Yeah, I hate being cold.
I do too.
So what do we got for them?
We got a DIY self-contained heater project.
We're going to do a diesel heater build on my GX. This right here is my all-in-one heater that I have been using for the past year. And,
kind of like beta test Gen 1.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but it works. I finally got it to work this year, actually, properly, because I screwed some stuff up. But anyways, what's inside here is the fuel tank and the heater down here. And what's going to happen is we're going to split these two into some of these Zarges boxes.
Yes,
right
Zarges makes some of the best boxes that you can get for off-roading, overlanding, etc.
Very nice.
They're
Very
aluminum,
shiny.
Great hinges. These awesome, nice clamps here. Chase went ahead and sealed it all with silicone.
Yep.
So we're going to be able to put all of these heater components in these boxes, attach it to the side of the vehicle, and it's going to be self-contained because we want ease of use and ease of access.
Yeah. So whereas this is great for portability because I can actually take it around wherever I want, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of got tired of it. It's clumsy. It's supposed to be waterproof. It's not waterproof, and
it takes up space too inside of the rig.
It's just annoying.
These are mounted externally.
Yep. We have some JW off-road Molly panels right here. And you can see that they actually mount on the bottom of the window from suction cups, and then the top integrates with a roof rack mount, and works pretty good. So we're gonna put, we got a bunch of other parts and stuff like that that's gonna go along with this build. We'll have a full parts list for you guys.
If you want to join us on building your own heater just like this, we're gonna be documenting it so you guys can follow along, build it, and we'll be explaining it.
Yeah, some of these things are pretty cool, and let's get to building this thing because I want my truck dialed in and ready for winter before it gets cold.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
All right, let's go. All right, welcome to my humble garage. This is the old heater in a box that I showed you up in the studio. We're out here in the garage right now. I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna show you a little bit more in detail what's on inside this before we rip it all out of here and then we start integrating it into the new Zarges box. So, this is what's in the box. You can see it's kind of a mess. This is a muffler for the diesel heater, exhaust pipe, air intake. It's actually kind of broken. And we have the controller. This goes inside the tent. It has a thermocouple on it, which I believe is right here. And that's what regulates the temperature when you set it. And then I also have this is kind of busted. I'll have to replace this, but plugs into my Goal Zero. Draws about 10 amps on startup because this is a diesel heater, so it has a glow plug, just like any other diesel engine. You can see this is not waterproof. I ended up having it was much longer this to get inside the tent, but it would hook up on one side, go over, and then this is a intake. Fuel tank was in here. One thing that I will say is this is very dependent on orientation. It doesn't really like to be on the side like this. I had issues where it was actually flipped 180 degrees, so this side down, and the fuel was actually leaking out, and it was puddling up down in the bottom of this case here, and I could just smell diesel inside the tent at all times. It was absolutely terrible. It likes to be with the intake and exhaust pointed down. So that's how it's going to be oriented more so in the new boxes. It's going to be much better, more organized. It just looks like a mess. So we're going to rip all this stuff out and get the new build going. This is now straight up trash. So let's get a closer look at this. So this thing actually pumps out a ton of heat. This is the intake, this is the exhaust, fuel line, bolts for a mounting plate. So you have to actually, the way it's going to mount in the rig is going to be a little different. Okay. Man, I forget how light these things are. It's freaking crazy. Open these guys up. Sounds like a good seal to me. Place this guy in here. You know what? Actually, before we do this, I'm going to go over my parts list with you guys, which is all that crap sitting over there.
All right, so what you see here is pretty much everything that's going to go inside the box. We got the heater up there, obviously. These are 3-inch flanges. They match the diameter of the heater over there. There's going to be 2 of them sandwiching the box. They'll be sealed, one for the heat and one for the intake side. And then you guys are probably wondering, okay, that's cool. So this is a permanent setup, but how are you going to seal this? Because you're going to be driving down the road. It's going to be set up all the time. What are you going to do? Well, I've got these black rubber caps here, and they pretty much slide right over this, just like that. And so I also have some hose clamps down here, and the cool part about these hose clamps is they have toolless design, so you can just tighten right here just like this with your fingers and not have to get out a tool. I want this to be a whole toolless concept. So we've got 6 of these, 2 for the intake, 2 for the exhaust, and then 2 for my tent, because I have to cut a giant hole in the bottom of my very nice Alucab tent. I am super nervous. Don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up. More on that later. That's going to be a good time. These guys, these are probably, aside from the heater and the box itself, these are probably the most expensive component. They're a bulkhead pass-through for like sailboat when they use heaters. And how it works is you can see the tip is separated from this external piece of metal, and it's welded up here, so you get a little bit of less heat transfer due to more material. Then when it sandwiches on the bulkhead, like the fiberglass part of the boat, or in our case, the Zarges box, right? I have one of these for the intake and the exhaust. You can see we got the muffler. It's going to attach right here. I'll use a piece of this exhaust pipe right here that slips right over it as a coupler. And then this coupler, this exhaust pipe, speaking of the exhaust pipe, we have some header wrap down here that's going to get wrapped all around this, because it's going to kind of be like snaking in and out all along inside of the box. And I don't really want like fuel line accidentally touching it from wheeling and then me not recognizing it, and then I just melt a hole and there's diesel fuel everywhere. That would not be a good time. Well, I also got some little rubber stoppers. And the only problem I have with these guys is that you can see this is flush here, and when I put this on, I'm going to have, if I push it all the way on, I'm going to have a real hard time pulling that off. So I also have this guy, which is kind of like a brass cam over stopper. So it expands when you flip this down. You can't pull it out. So the only problem with this right now is it's actually a little bit too large, so I've dremeled this down to see if I can get it. I want it flush up here, so we'll see. I'll let you guys know what ends up happening here. That is what's going on here. We've got the plate that we already talked about, the intake, and that pretty much covers it for the interior and the box part of the heater build. So yeah, let's get going, because it's getting cold out. Oh, forgot about these. These are called gore plugs. These are important to have because you might get condensation built up. There's electronics in that heater, and you don't really want that to happen. That's it. Let's get going. All right, today is the day that we cut out and make the actual mount for the heater that's going to go inside the box. So this is going to be the base plate. I'm using aluminum to keep the weight down. A little thicker than I probably need, but this is what I could find. So these little bolts down here, bolt holes, are for the actual mounting plate, and then these larger holes, you can see I already cut one out, are for the exhaust and intake, and then this is the fuel hole for the fuel line. So we're going to drill these out on a drill press. I already did one to kind of test and make sure that this is all going to work, but essentially on this plate it's going to be mounted like this, and then the heater is going to bolt down right on top of this guy. So it needs to be a little bit rigid structure to hold that, bouncing around off-road, that kind of stuff. We just touched down here really quick to see, make sure, and the whole red circle is covered up, which is good. Means we are means we're, oh my gosh, that means we are where we want to be. So let's power through. Let's go ahead and drill these other 4 holes. All right, so here are the 2 pieces. gonna have to clean up some burrs on the back here, but pretty much this is gonna get welded like this. Might be a couple little braces that go down to here that reinforce the weld a little bit. Fits pretty much exactly how it needs to. Slides right on. Flip this over. Boom, that's exactly how it's gonna mount. I can feel that this is flush against here, and this is also touching, so going to be primo. I'm doing a little bit more test fitting. We got the heater in the box. I've got the adapter plate mounted on it right here. This is kind of about where I think it's gonna go. I'm leaving a little bit of a gap up here so that I can access the bolts that are gonna be holding it to the box. Then there'll be 2 more down here and maybe 2 more right here. And I am fitting my exhaust. So I want the exhaust to come out on this side, and there needs to be a muffler attached to it as well. So I think I'm gonna actually have to cut this off, and then I'm gonna have to weld this onto here. Reason being is that if it's up here, it's a pretty long stretch for the muffler, and then, or the muffler is running out of room rather, and then this is really close to where the flange is gonna be for the outtake of this guy. So I want the exhaust down here. It needs to be going straight on. Yeah, I made the decision I'm gonna have to chop this off here. We're gonna weld this on at my buddy's shop. But the exhaust looks like it's gonna fit pretty nice. It's just gonna kind of snake around, and it's gonna link up with the muffler right about here once that's welded to it. So I think that's gonna work real well. And then the intake is gonna be over here. I want it on the bottom so it's not gonna suck in water or snow from raining, you know, that kind of stuff. And if it's over here, I can just do a short little jog, just like that. And it's gonna work out nicely, and it'll also stay away from here. And with the exhaust going down, I also have room for my diesel line to come out and away, and stay clear of this exhaust. And remember, we're gonna be using some header wrap to wrap this guy up just in case something weird does happen. All right, so we're here at my buddy's shop. We're going to be welding some brackets on to corners here so I can mount it onto, I don't know where the molly panel went. Oh, over there. That's JC, he's the welder. Yeah, so we're going to, right across here at each corner, bridge the gap pretty much, and then we can just mount it onto this guy somewhere. Pretty sick. That's what we want. All right, so now we're getting ready to weld the exhaust pipe onto this guy, because remember I talked about how this angle wasn't going to work. So we chopped off the tip. That's still warm. and we're going to weld this guy onto here. I'm not. He is. All right, so we're back here at my garage. You guys saw us weld the plate together, welded this exhaust up. Let's talk about this exhaust for a little bit. So, if you guys noticed it before I did, at the time, I'm like, oh yeah, we need to weld this together. It's gonna be great. It's just gonna be one piece. And, well, you see, the thing is that this needs to go on from the outside, and then the muffler attaches from the inside. And now it's welded together, so we can't do that. So I'm gonna cut it back apart. But we're going to make it work because instead of the OD of the pipe up here was a little bit too large for us to like slip this little coupler over. So I'm going to cut in the middle of this guy here so that now I can actually use this coupler because the OD of the muffler right here is correct. So not all is lost, and we're going to do that, and then we can drill our holes. We're going to be drilling a 2-inch hole right here. Going to be drilling a 3-inch hole up here so that this guy can attach to on both sides. Yeah, we're going to be doing the same thing on this side, and a 2-inch hole down here on the bottom. Right, so we just cut these off. There's not a lot of engagement here, but I think that's okay. We will see, mainly because I have some gasket or sealant, exhaust sealant that's going to go around it anyways. So we'll kind of see how it looks. I think I'm going to be able to make it work. Fits over, then we'll clamp it. Yeah, I think it's going to work. Let's get this muffler in here. I'm going to mark this where I want it, and then we're going to drill this hole real quick. So I want it to look, I want this to be centered in between this space when this is closed. So I get this right about, and I'll mark the outer edges and then split the difference. All right, that's where it's going to be. That is not right. That is not centered. What happened? Double check that one. That looks better. Oh yeah, that's going to be money. Okay, so I'm going to get this first hole drilled and out of the way. I'm going to drill a pilot hole right here. If this starts going horribly wrong, we're taking it over to the drill press. But I think we'll be okay. Oh. Oh my God. Boom. Yes. I wish I had a deburring tool, but this round file will have to do. Now, 3 holes for the mounting holes for this guy. So lovely. And then on the back, got a silicone piece on the back and a cap. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Dang. That looks so good. All right, I'm not gonna snug all of this down. I just want to get it in place and on there. I want to do this mainly to get the muffler fitted. So what I'm doing here is I'm fitting this exhaust, kind of bent this back a little bit so the exhaust fits nicely in here. However, because this is so long, it's coming into contact with this, and I kind of wanted to cut this off anyways. So I'm going to do that. I chopped approximately this much off. Okay. Look at that. Let's see here. Okay, so this, I got some exhaust sealant along with some clamps that I'm going to put on here, obviously. But I think that's going to do the trick there. And then this guy, actually it's going to be like this. This bolt is going to go through here and support the muffler, because it's kind of, I don't want it just, you know, bouncing around like that. I know there's going to be a clamp here, here, and here, but it should be really supported by its own bolt. That's why they put it there. And man, I think that's it. So also one other thing, I mounted this just barely enough so that I can actually still take this up and off this platform. There's enough clearance up here to clear these bolts and this fuel line so we can take it up and out if we have to replace it or service it or anything like that. The intake is going to go something like this. And since we got the 2-inch hole saw on the auger or the chuck already, or whatever the heck you guys want to call it, I'm drawing a blank right now. let's go ahead and get this cut. And this is going to, we're going to keep this on here as well. So let's mark and drill this hole. You know what, that looks about right to me. So we're just going to call it right there. Wow, this is a dull drill bit. Oh man, look at that. That's what you get for using dull drill bits. Oh my gosh, the cut's so nice. Heck yeah. Do the same thing. All right, so same story. Good enough. Drill some holes here. That one got a little close, huh? Open this back up. So now we're going to, like I said, we're going to put this in here. Again, we got metal shavings everywhere. I guess I could have angled this up, but I am so anal that I like the orientation of the bolts out here that this is how I wanted it. But now I kind of regret it because intake is very close to this. I guess I could drill more holes. I want it oriented actually kind of like this. Try it again. Okay, now I'm gonna cut it. This stuff is so thin, so we can just cut this with a razor blade and we'll be good to go. Oh yeah, look at that. See, now it stays away from the exhaust, even though we are still gonna bend it down a little bit more. Oh gosh, this looks so good. I bolted this guy down to this bracket so that I can actually get the proper positioning. I had re-bent the exhaust so that it just didn't really fit the way I wanted it to. So pretty much this is where it's going to be located. So I've marked the plate where I want it. I've kind of taken these guys and have placed them on the outside. They're in a good spot. They're just going to barely clear this guy. I'm going to drill a hole in this guy right now. I need it to be larger because I'm going to be putting not this bolt, but a much longer bolt that's going to go through this. It's going to sandwich the exhaust here and also act as a mounting bolt for the plate to the box here. Love those step bits. There we go. Everything's kind of situated. Drill the holes and then I'll come back and put it back in here, then mark the box, and then we'll drill everything else. Wow, looks pretty good. Now the fun begins. So the video cut out there for a second, but I got all this extra hardware laying around. These things don't have to be super strong because it's just, you know, a basic little diesel heater, but I was hoping to use them, but unfortunately they're a little bit too long. They stick out of the bottom. So I'm gonna have to go to the hardware store and get some new ones. But I do have all of the bolts and all of the holes. And it kind of seems like a lot of holes because it is. But reason for that is the bottom of this is pretty thin and I want to distribute the load as much as I can throughout this whole sheet. I handed this off to JC. We forgot to weld the bottom of this. Didn't think it was necessary, but the way that it's oriented, you're just going to be looking under this thing and people are probably going to be like, hey, why is this not welded? It looked like it's just a bunch of tack welds. So went back, got it welded up. Looks pretty good. I also got a bunch of hardware, a new fuel filter for this thing. I like to buy in bulk, so ended up getting bulk bulk hardware. We'll just leave that down there. So I decided to go with like some zinc grade 8 hardware. I don't know, I just kind of like the contrast look of it. So, and for those wondering, I used a flap disc on this, so pretty easy. I mean, like literally took me a couple minutes off camera. On the back side, I'm using some pretty big fender washers to distribute the load across the panel back here. And I'm also using nylock nuts so that I don't have to worry about these things vibrating loose. That would be bad. So this all down here, we're going to be using one of the, I think this guy might actually be about the perfect length that I picked up for the muffler. Remember, we said we were going to kind of suspend it a certain way, but let's get these guys tightened down. All right. Installed nice and tight. Let's get the heater in here now. Oh yeah. So, okay, now let's get the exhaust on. And this is gonna go pretty much like that. I need my hose clamps first. Before we assemble this, we should drill these holes. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys a cool trick if you don't know how to find the center of a circle you just drew. If you take the diameter of it, like that, and the radius, 1.35, and then you set your compass, get a compass like this, and you set this to that width, or you could actually use this, I suppose. But you take this, and you put this on the outside edge, and you draw arcs in at least 2 locations like this. And boom. That's our center right there. You can go all the way around this and it should converge at the same point or abouts. Assuming you did it right. So that's where we're going to drill. Time for this guy. Drill a pilot hole first. That was freaking scary. Okay, now we get to drill the holes for this guy. Moment of truth. Oh yeah. Oh, that's great. All right, so obviously we're gonna have to put a gasket on this guy, but it's gonna work out very nicely. All right, so got that drilled. Let's do the same on this side and get this part over and done with, huh? All right, here we go. Jeez. Look at that, right through the logo. All right, test this one out. If one side fits, this side's gonna fit. Kind of how they work when they're symmetrical parts. And like a glove. So we're pretty much done cutting holes and all sorts of stuff like that. I lied, we're not. We're almost done. We still have to cut a hole for the electrical to get through, as well as for the fuel. But as far as mounting and everything like that goes, pretty much done, which is great because it's kind of stressful cutting big giant holes in a box that I don't really want to replace. So with that being said, I'm going to hook up some ducting to these. I'm going to bolt these down temporarily right now because I still have to seal them. I don't know, high temp RTV probably to keep them waterproof. And this side, especially RTV, because it's got the logo still, so it's kind of an uneven surface. But anyways, all right guys, we are back at the shop. Got some sleep and also went to Ace Hardware and picked up a few supplies. Got a couple different kind of fuel line here. These heaters take some kind of weird small sized fuel. So Ace Hardware has a bunch of fuel line, got this orange stuff. So here's the here's the fuel tank. But when you get these things, they come with this really small fuel line. This kind of almost feels like nylon, and really small rubber fuel line. So I wasn't really able to find some locally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this rubber section to adapt to this nylon fuel line that they have for inside the box. And then I'm going to go to this fuel filter. And then the rest of it, we're going to use this orange line run up and over the vehicle. But I'm also going to try and thread it into this fuel line. Mainly, I'm just going to use this as a protective sleeve. I'm kind of worried about this getting grabbed by trees and that kind of stuff and ripping a hole in it. So we also got some sealants. This is some ultra copper, about 700 degree RTV type stuff to seal these. They're not going to come anywhere close to 700 degrees, but I just wanted something that was going to hold up in high temps. And then this is exhaust sealant. This is good to like 1500 degrees. So this is what we're going to use to actually seal the exhaust pipe and the muffler and stuff like that, so that there's not exhaust gases getting out inside this box, because it will then get mixed into the air supply that we have going through here. So let's get all of these guys sealed and mounted. We're gonna need 4 of them. We'll clean the surface a little bit. Use a little brake cleaner. All right, so we're gonna apply some RTV to each one, put enough RTV on the inside of these holes. Otherwise, we're gonna get heat leaking out of them. So that's pretty much where we want to put all of the gasket maker. Yeah, there's that, and we'll do the same to one more. Try not to make a mess. Famous last words. And the gasket maker actually helps it stay in place pretty nicely. And we don't have to go super tight on these. We got nylock, and the gasket maker is going to do wonders for us. All right, so now I'm going to grab a glove real quick. Oh yeah, looking good. We'll just clean this up inside. That's that, looks great. Now we can do the other side. Boom, those are on. Next step, let's get some couplers up and going up there. We've got some of this aluminum coupling material, literally just HVAC stuff from Home Depot. Cut some of this off with the razor blade. The reason I think I should seal this side is because this is the intake, and if there is accidentally any exhaust leaking from this, I don't want it to suck it in, but I'm not sure that that'll really help because this whole unit right here isn't really sealed anyways, so I might just wing it and not seal it for now. Okay, boom. Man, starting to come together here. Okay, next up, we're gonna do the exhaust. And I need to mount the muffler properly first. So I've got this, got my hole drilled. This guy. We're going to need this sealer next. Definitely do not want any of this exhaust gas coming out and getting into the box. I actually had like some really bad fume problems in my old setup, and it wasn't because of the exhaust. It was actually like the way this was oriented, the fuel was dripping into the bottom of the tank, and then I was just breathing in diesel fuel fumes in the tent, and it was terrible. This should be a lot better than that. Get at this under here. So we're going to first seal this guy. Clean her up real quick. I want this to seal good. We are ready. That's so solid. That's what I'm talking about. Now we can do this guy, same thing, but we need to wrap this with header wrap first, heat wrap. All right, so it's time to do header wrap. Things you're gonna want: zip ties. You only have a certain number of these metal ties, so to help keep your stuff in place in the meantime before you put the final ones on, you want zip ties. Obviously, you're gonna need some header wrap. So there's generally two sides of this header wrap. One has like a little more frayed side, or not frayed, it's just the stitching is larger. You want to work your way from the bottom up to the engine, okay? You're gonna start down here, and then you're gonna have that looped, the side with the looping, pointing towards the muffler downstream of the exhaust. And we're gonna fold the first end in half like this to help pinch it and stop fraying. So like I said, we'll fold this guy over, and like I said, we want to fold it over, and we want the loop side pointing downstream. Definitely leave room for your hose clamp that you're going to have to put on here, but then just kind of start looping it around. Get your first strap nice and tight, and then this is where you throw your first zip tie on. Hold that in place. And we're going to work our way up this, overlapping by about 1/4 inch or so, going all the way up the exhaust. As you come around here, it's going to be tighter here on the inside than it is on the outside. This is exhausting. I'm going to zip tie this real quick. All right, I'm going to cut it off, give myself a little extra just in case. All right, so let's get this finished off here. And boom, there's that. Now we can go ahead and get these steel guys going. And the way you're going to want to do this, get this guy, and I'm going to take my needle nose. I'm going to grab and twirl up and clamp it down. I'm going to cut these zip ties off. Boom, voila. Oh, I got to do this guy. Looking at the camera now. Exhaust wrap, thin. Not bad. Looks pretty sick, actually, honestly. Looks like a little pit bike exhaust. All right, let's get the box back up here, and let's get this thing installed. This is going to slip over like so. That looks pretty rad. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, so now that I know I can fit it, take it off here, and let's get the goops put on. Quick little brake clean. Nice. Oh man, that's not the side I wanted the hose clamp on, but oh well, I'm not taking that off. Oh yeah, that looks fantastic. Now we're gonna do this. Oh, look at that. Exhaust stays nice and low, doesn't touch the bottom, doesn't even come close to this. Plenty of room for the fuel line to come out really quick and stay away from this. This is solid. Oh, it's not moving at all. That's gonna be great. Okay, so now that that's the case, I realized I didn't tighten these guys up. So I'm gonna go ahead and snug those guys up real quick. Woo! Man, this thing is really coming together. Now I think it's fuel line, so all I have to do, and this guy obviously, yeah. Slight oversight on my part, I forgot to order the bulkhead connector to go on the box for the actual control module. I'm going to do a grommet pass through for the power directly out the back, but I want the controller to be connectorized. So it's only 3 pins, so I'm just going to order a 3-pin.
And cut! What am I doing here? Well, a couple things. The battery died for one. And number two, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I know it's a ton of content and a lot going on, but I want to give you guys every single detail. So while we wait for the bulkhead mount, we're going to move to tent mods. Oh yeah. It is time to start messing around with my tent. I know that this might be a little specific to my setup, but you guys can still get a good idea of what I have to do in order to incorporate this into my tent, and then you can apply it to your own specific kind of setup, right? So the next scene, I actually ended up having audio problems as well. So I'm gonna get you guys up to speed on what's actually going on. I'm in the middle of relocating the electrical connector on the bottom of the alu cab, and with that comes a bunch of power drills. Oh yeah, and we're gonna be start drilling, cutting, filing, all that sort of stuff. So if you haven't already gotten your popcorn, go ahead and get it, because I'm gonna be cutting into my pride and joy alu cab Expedition 3.0. So let's get back to it.
So I had to drill on the back side. This wasn't coming out. There we go. All right, now I just gotta get the rest of this crap off. So I'm gonna try and depin this. There's a little plug or tab on the side. If you pull it out or push it down, these pins just slide right out. There we go. Let's take this in the shop and try and clean this out a bit. So if I get a socket, hoping I can. Perfect. That was a really long rivet. Do it again. That was way too easy. So the reason I did this is I'm going to be using some bolts or screws to capture this and that metal plate all at once instead of a bunch of rivets. So, and it'll be removable. We got nylox, and so yeah, should be okay. So this is pretty much going to go like this. And I think this might even be able to cover that up. Oh, maybe not the back one. But that's okay. This is going to work great. And I will just plug that up with something. And you'll never know what happened. And then that means that we have room for this guy. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so perfect. Oh, literally perfect. Alu cab, you should make this a standard feature. I think I'm gonna move this back out of the way because I kind of want this to actually overlap that hole. Sorry, Baja. You're gonna have to move. All right, so I really wanted to do this in the daylight. So we had the best lighting, obviously, but that's not gonna be possible because I'm running out of time. So we're gonna start drilling into the alu cab right now. First things we're gonna do is we're going to relocate this so that it mounts up under here. I'm just gonna match these same holes, same distance on the other side of this grommet plug, and then we're gonna plug both of these holes with some plugs that I have. Looks like we got a couple holes here. So I got my replacement screws instead of rivets. So I got this box of grommets and stuff like that from Amazon, and we're gonna use these to plug those two old holes. Those black things. And now that those are plugged, we can go ahead and get this Anderson plug installed again. Yes. Oh, this is great. Couldn't have asked for better. And then this is just gonna, like nothing ever happened, plug in on the backside. Won't know the difference. And what I'm sure you guys are waiting for is for me to take this and slice a giant hole right in it. Yeah. I think I'm going to trim a little bit off this so that it will clear this a little bit better. All right, so I trimmed a little bit off this side. Kind of wish I would have just done this same shape out here. She clears pretty good now, and that's where I'm gonna mark it. So back to the protractor trick. Time to drill the pilot hole. Not gonna lie, pretty nervous right now. Can't think, just do, right? I think it's gonna work. All right, here is the moment of truth. All right, here we go. I am super nervous. Had to get some safety glasses, getting a bunch of aluminum falling down on me, which I don't really like. All right, here we go. Holy shit. Pretty sure I'm the first person to ever do that, but it is what it is. It's gonna be perfect. So the terror is over. So now we're gonna go ahead and put these guys on. Okay, got them all gasketed up. Time to do the thing. Imagine that, they all fit. All right, and now for my final act on this, put the cap on. And our little hose clamp. Oh, it's way too long. Let me tighten it up here real quick. Definitely gonna be trimming this. All right. Boom. Done. All right, back in my garage. You saw me cut my hole in the tent today. We did a lot of mounting in here, and I'm pretty much at a point where I need to call it quits for the night. I also got all of the fuel line routed. Let's hop over to the other camera right now. So got the fuel line routed, fuel pump installed. You want this fuel pump actually at an angle. You don't want it straight up and down or horizontal. The instructions say to mount it at an angle. I have my fuel line. It's not really touching anything. I have it zip tied loosely to this intake tube right here to kind of pull it over and keep it out of the exhaust manifold right there. Everything else is still mounted down, and the fuel line goes up and under this intake tube, and we have a fuel filter up here. The next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing fuel line in order to get this out of the box. We have a grommet just like this, pass-through grommet. So it's going to be nice and watertight still. It's got a nice tight fit, so we just got to drill a hole and pass this through, and it'll all be nice and tight. Also, I did manage to get the grub valve installed. It's right here underneath the fuel pump. So pretty much this box is almost done. All right, day 4 or 5 or something like that along the lines on this now, and we got the driver's side box off because we're going to be drilling some holes to mount the fuel tank and fuel lines, but we have a celebrity in our presence today.
Hi.
Hunter decided to show up.
I'm here now. What's up?
Yeah, after all the hard work's done.
Yeah, you know, I just really just want to thank the team that really put this heater together, Chase, and it's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to see the final product, which will probably be in a couple minutes in this video.
Okay, let's get to it. Yeah, so now we're getting ready to mount this tank. This is the old tank I was using. I'm highly debating buying a different tank.
This is a trail fix from the last trip you took it out, right?
Yeah, these tanks, they tend to leak, so I actually kind of siliconed this and this up. Anyways, this is going to be... Oh, there we go. Oh, it's all the way through.
Oh.
Found a pinhole in the freaking fuel line from like a staple or something, but luckily I think we're gonna I'm just gonna cut it, and I think we're gonna have enough on the long side. All right, that's the pressure test. Pressure test is done. We just had a blow off.
Yeah, when you're inserting your gas line, make sure you lube it up. I'll pull it back out to inspect real quick and back in. Okay, back out. And back in. Okay, good. Yep. Reapply.
This is really why Hunter showed up.
Hey, we broke out the Vaseline.
Look at that. We got it. Where should we drill this
it's
fuel
been really
hose?
nice. It's my part. I
Well,
gotta go
see you
home.
later.
I'm literally leaving.
Hey guys, what's up? We're back again. I had to hold off because I needed some different fuel line for this. Fuel line it's kind of hard to find that I've found. And there's a lot of finds in one sentence, isn't it? But anyways, so yeah, I had to order some replacement fuel line. It's pretty small. I'll compare it to 1/4 inch line. So you can see the difference here, and this is the guy I'm talking about. I also got some bulkhead connectors. I'm actually pretty pumped about them because I was able to find these relatively inexpensive bulkhead connectors. They have 4-pin, 3-pin, multi-pin, and they're also waterproof. And They go together like this, and they just kind of like quarter turn lock. And then they have a couple assembly pieces. Let's see here. So they got solder cups, and there's a seal right here to install this guy, and then also an assembly piece back here that tightens down on your wire or sheathing or whatever, and to make it waterproof. And then also, just like I said, a bulkhead connection. And then when you take it off, it has, because you're not going to be plugged in all the time for like the controller, it has a little cap that goes on. And yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think these were like $20 each, which if you've ever looked at bulkhead connectors, they can get very, very expensive. Not a crazy environment for me and use-wise, so I think these will do the trick, but we will see. But I want to finish the fuel line first on this guy. I know I want it up top, so I will mark out the locations that are clear. That goes down, and I want this to come through at a reasonable spot. So I just drew a few squares of safe locations on the molly panel that I can drill, and we'll check out what that looks like. I think I'm gonna go for the low far one. You don't want to go too big, so constant checking is a good idea. All right, so we got our hole. Let's get this guy installed. Very nice. And we'll now pass the fuel line through. All right, so now we're gonna get, I know this is ugly. We're gonna do something about this at another time. But I'll pull this guy out. We're gonna put this guy in. Okay. And I also had to order this because I was out of these tiny little hose clamps, which I probably should have put on before. I kind of want to put some of these like P-clips to kind of locate this fuel line. Maybe right here before, and then right here, right at the interface. It doesn't have to be super tight. I'm just trying to like restrict its movement and bounciness and that kind of crap, you know? So, okay. I think we're done with this box, actually. We're gonna mount the molly panel on it. So we'll fish this guy through. All right, so we got the back panel back on, the molly panel. I went ahead and tightened all these bolts, and I also routed the fuel line and put one of these little P-clips right here so that it kind of strain relieves the fuel line, and also it comes in now at more of a natural angle. Also, what you didn't see is I put a bunch of silicone around the back of these washers and stuff for all the holes that we drilled. And so this side should be good to go. Pretty much have the length of line that's gonna run up and over the vehicle to the other side and interface pretty good, I think, and be pretty hidden because the main panel or support panel comes up right here and it's just gonna go right underneath, so you're not even gonna see it really. So, all right, so what I'm doing right now is when this closes, you can see it rubs on the lid here from these wires sticking out up here. So I'm gonna actually plug this with a grommet that I have, and I depinned this connector right here so I could pass a new grommet over it, and I'm gonna drill a new hole in this guy right up here. So the wires come out on top and don't interfere with the lid anymore. So I got this all passed through. That was kind of time consuming, so I didn't really show it, but just keep track of the pins. You can depin them pretty easily with like a small screwdriver or something flat like this, like a dental tool. I think I'm gonna put the hole pretty much directly vertical right here. Okay, so we'll feed this through. So we've got that situated. Okay, so all the wiring is gonna get tucked up here. That's kind of a given. as well as the fuel line, which is going to go in here. And that's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. However, what we are going to do is this connector is going to get the bulkhead fitting. We've got a 3-pin bulkhead mount, and it's going to go, I think, right here. I like it centered right over this, and works out inside. Boom, perfect. Now we get to drill a bunch of tiny holes for the screws for these. All right, so we just got the connector installed. Super solid feeling, I really like it. And plenty of length to go into the tent. This is the only electrical connection left, and this is for the fuel pump. There's a ton of line here. Not super thrilled about it, but I don't want to cut and splice all of this either. Yep, I think I'm just gonna leave it bundled like that and zip tie it to the fuel pump. Got a lot of progress done. We got the wires routed, we got the connectors built for the controller, and I also got a couple more holes drilled up here for some P-clips to mount to secure the fuel line, and some wiring from bouncing around up there on the inside. The next thing that we need to do is I need to put this on the truck. So finally, we are at the point where we get to install both of these, route fuel across, route the wiring up, splice it in with the tent wiring, because that's what's gonna use the power, or the tent power. It's gonna run off tent power. That's pretty much it. So, oh my gosh, we're almost to the point where we get to start this thing up. So let's get going. Okay, it's the moment we've all been waiting for, or at least I have. It's time to put this thing on the truck. One thing I'm gonna show you guys real quick. I'm using these rubber or neoprene washers. They're gonna go in between the molly panel and this mounting bracket, to try and mitigate some of the noise that we're probably going to get from the fuel pump transferring through metal and hearing it inside the tent kind of thing. So I'll go and get it. Let's put it on. Clean the glass a little. So I'm just going to put one on without those washers, just so I can get it going. Holy crap. Should have got this beforehand. All right, I'm gonna stop recording this because it's gonna take forever. All right, you guys, got the boxes on, both of them. I skipped all of that because it was kind of a pain in the butt. Fuel line is routed. Got it sticking through here, so kind of secure the fuel line along with the wiring harness. All right, guess what time it is? I have the fuel hooked up, electrical all hooked up. Everything's pretty much buttoned up, ready to go. I got the wired. I did a little bit of wire loom over it to make it look nice and protect it from the elements a little bit. On the back side, ties into the Anderson plug right here. And right now it is plugged into my Gold Zero through a 12 volt adapter on the Gold Zero. And you can see we have power. So I'm gonna do it live with you guys right now. I'm gonna turn it on. I don't have it hooked up to the tent right now because I just wanna run it. It's probably gonna take a little bit to prime it and get fuel flowing to the fuel filter and everything else, but just push and hold the power button, turning on. Can you hear some noises? Well, the air's blowing out back this side, so that means we have it oriented properly. So in a little bit, we should hear the fuel pump start to pump and it'll start priming Well, that's not good. It just turned off. Well, that's really not good. All right, so I figured out what was going on. And what happened was the main power wires to the tent up here are a lot thicker, and then there's a termination at an Anderson plug down here at the truck, and then I have an adapter that adapts to a car cigarette outlet. And what happened was that the gauge wires are a lot thinner, and so the fuse in there was only like 5 amps, and this pulls about 10 amps when it's warming up. So, oh, there we go. It's clicking, trying to pump some fuel. What happened was it blew the fuse, so I swapped it out for some thicker wires with a much larger fuse, and we are up and running, you can see. So we just gotta wait for fuel to start trickling in because it's completely dry. Yeah, this can take a while. I see a little bit of fuel in here, probably left over in the fuel pump. It's actually firing up right now. See some exhaust coming out. No fuel in the fuel pump or the fuel filter yet though, so it's just firing up off of residual fuel. Oh, I like that. It's coming out right here. It's a pretty dirty burn right away, and then it cleans up quite a bit. And it's turning off because there's no fuel. I can't remember, there's a mode you can put it into just prime. Obviously the fuel lines are dry, so we're gonna prime it, and into prime it, you're gonna push OK and down at the same time. And it'll say H and off, and you want it to say on. There we go. Clicking away. You're gonna wanna watch for the fuel to come up to the fuel filter. So I have a fuel filter up here, and also this line right there. So I'm just gonna keep watching until we get a bunch of fuel in here. And I have quite a bit of line, so like I said earlier, this might take a while. I think we're good. So let's fire this puppy up. I can see this is full of fuel now, which is good. We still have a bunch of air in the fuel filter, but it's at the top, and I think over time it'll get flushed out, but it's time. Great success. Oh yes. All right, she is purring right now, and this is awesome. Warming up. It always ramps up pretty high right away on first startup, and then it should come idle back down because it's actually pretty warm out here. I have it on the lowest setting, so it should just chill. But right now this is full blast. And right now, I hope you guys can see this. The header wrap, the heat wrap is heating up and it's smoking right now. That's totally normal. We're just gonna let it run its course and heat up, and then burn all the oils and stuff like that off the heat wrap. She's pumping some heat. I actually turned it up a bit so that it continues to run a little hot, so that this header wrap gets smoked out and completely broken in. All right, smoking's down to a minimum right now. I can still smell it, but light smoke. But I'm gonna actually close this up just to get a feel for what it's gonna do. This strap might have to go actually, because I think it's gonna come down and touch the exhaust, which we don't want. This is gonna be amazing. Praying nothing happens. I've had it running for a couple hours now. I think about an hour and a half or 2 hours on full blast. Turned it down to low right now, and I'm just gonna let it run for, I don't know, until I go to bed tonight. But so far, it's doing great. On low, it's really quiet. The fuel pump, I can't really hear right now, which is great. The real test is obviously gonna be once I'm in the tent. And also, that's when we're gonna double check, make sure there's no weird fumes or anything like that. getting into the tent from intake in the box or something, you know, just that kind of stuff. So right now, it's looking really promising, and I'm so stoked because this has been a ton of work. And if it goes as well as I'm hoping it will, it's going to be incredible winter camping.
All right, for those of you that are wondering what it actually looks like inside the tent, here's a quick clip. You can see that here's the vent coming in, and there's about 10 inches of space right here between my mattress and the back of the tent. This is an Xped Mega Mat. Definitely would recommend it. Deflates, make sure that there's a lot of room. There's some anti-condensation mat that I just ended up cutting out and working around. Still looks pretty good. There's a lip on the bottom of this tent here, so you don't want it to just blast up onto the bottom of the tent. So I have just a little piece of ducting that I bent, and it slips right over, and you can bend it and it'll come out exactly where you want. So now it comes out, it just shoots straight up and out and into the tent. You can see I have my carbon monoxide detector here. It's about 14 bucks at Home Depot. Probably won't ever have an issue in this type of heater design, but cheap insurance. So that's pretty much it. And that's what the interior looks like, or the inside looks like.
What's up, guys? We are in winter wonderland right now. It's freezing and we're getting ready for bed, but before we do that, we are gonna hook up that diesel heater, and I'm gonna walk you through the steps right now. So this side is the driver's side, and what's in it is the fuel tank and our hoses. That's all that we need. You guys probably saw it was super clean in there. It's because it's weather sealed, and the outside of this thing is absolutely trashed. But let's walk around to the other side where the actual heater is. This is where the magic happens. I haven't done anything. We've been driving for probably, I don't know, what, 6 hours?
6, 7 hours, yeah.
Crazy like that. So absolutely packed with snow. So I'm gonna unplug all of this stuff for you guys right now. Real time. I haven't even looked at it. So this is a there we go. There's a cap, and this cap right here is for the controller. We'll get this all plugged in here. I'm trying to find the keying. My hands are freezing. Okay, that is hooked up. We have power. That is good. Good power. I'm gonna unplug everything else before we get this going. Plug the intake plug right over here. And we have 2 more connections to this is the plug for the exhaust, for the heat output, and then this is the exhaust output plug. And we'll turn it on right now. Get this going. So it's turning on. Should be spooling up anytime soon.
Does this need to warm up at all?
There is a warm-up cycle right now, so the glow plug is heating up right now. It'll take a little bit, and then this timer will start to count down. And I can feel right now that there is air being blown, so the fan is on. You have a glove on. I don't know if you're gonna be able to feel that.
Feel everything.
But once this gets going, there's a plug right here on the bottom of my tent, and this is the magic, man. I don't have to run a hose through the tent window. I just plug it in, and I have like built-in heating on the tent. There's a pass-through hose, and there's a hose up there that just points right in. And this is actually going to be like the first time we test it in snow environments like this, and we're both pretty excited because it's freezing. I have this little guy right here that kind of goes like this, and what this does, because we're getting precipitation, I don't want that going in the inlet, so I'm going to fit this over, and now we don't get snow inside of it, and it's not going to be blowing into us, right? So this is warming up. I just heard the fuel pump kick on. Did you hear that? I don't know if you can bring the camera close so they can hear the fuel pump start to kick on. We got exhaust coming out over here. You can see some exhaust fumes. It's a little smoky every time it starts up, just due to being cold start, you know, all that sort of stuff once it gets going and purring. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this tent coupling off. And I'm gonna get ready to hook up. So I'm gonna hook it up to the tent right now. Okay. And we are getting going. So the inlet right here, the intake is down here, and it's on the bottom on purpose so that it doesn't suck air or snow into the intake that it's burning combustion. We'll see how it goes. You can see getting some exhaust here. I don't know if you can hear it spooling up. I hope so. Starting to warm up. Oh yeah. We're getting heat, baby. Oh, my hands. They're like, you know that feeling when you put them in front of like a heater and they go like tingly?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. All right, so at this point, it's burning nice and clean. I feel good about it. Pretty much it. So you can see there's like a direct, this light is probably really bright, but there's direct coupling right to the tent, and it's as easy as that. There's no setup other than what you just saw, which is extremely minimal considering all of the other diesel options out there. You have to like take it out of your truck, put it on the ground, all that kind of crap. So anyways, pretty stoked to try it out tonight, and that's it. Thanks for checking it out.